The first thing Lyubochka noticed wasn't the ocean, or the warm Caribbean air, or even the music floating from the beach bar. It was him. A young man in a worn-out wheelchair, pushing himself across the sand with quiet determination, moving as if the weight of the world rested on his shoulders, yet refusing to collapse beneath it. And something in her heart whispered, "There's a story inside him, and I'm meant to know it." Carlos's life had never been gentle, not even for a moment. Born in a forgotten corner of South America, in a village where roofs leaked during the rainy season and hope was something borrowed from faith, he lost both parents before he was 8. An orphan, raised by neighbors who barely had enough to feed themselves. At 15, an accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. A collapsed bridge, a fall into darkness, and a body that woke up but never walked again. Wheelchairs were expensive in his country, too expensive for a boy with no family. But the town priest organized donations, and Carlos received an old, squeaky, second-hand chair that he treated like a gift from God. He pushed it everywhere, up hills, down sandy streets, through storms, through humiliation, through hunger. By 27, he had landed a job at a beachside restaurant on a small Caribbean island, cleaning tables, greeting tourists, taking orders, anything he could do from wheels. The pay was small, but the freedom was priceless. Carlos told himself every morning, "I may not walk, but I'm still going somewhere." Lyubochka had traveled from Russia to the Caribbean not for sun, but for silence. At 32, she carried the weight of managing Europe's largest disability-focused humanitarian NGO. She'd seen too much suffering, too many broken systems, too many people abandoned by the world. But on her first visit to the island a year ago, she had seen Carlos, sweat on his forehead, smile on his face, pushing his squeaky wheelchair through the sand to deliver drinks to tourists who barely noticed him. She noticed. She noticed too much. Something in his resilience hit her harder than she expected. A stranger in a wheelchair, yes, but also a flame burning quietly against the wind. Her heart had sparked, then panicked. So she left the island quickly, telling herself it was nothing. Just admiration. Just pity. Just curiosity. But on her second visit now, 1 year later, she saw him again. He hadn't changed. Same wheelchair. Same determined push. Same gentle smile. And her heart whispered again. This is not coincidence. Her best friend, Irina, who traveled with her, noticed instantly. "Luba, don't tell me you're staring at that guy again." Lyubochka didn't answer. Irina sighed dramatically. "He's young, he's poor, he's paralyzed, and this isn't a movie. People will think." "I don't care what people think," Lyubochka interrupted softly. Irina blinked. That tone meant one thing. Lyubochka was certain. Still, the fear crept in. Should I approach him? Will I embarrass him? Will he think I pity him? But the thought of returning to Europe, without saying a word again, felt unbearable. So she waited until he rolled past their beach table. "Hola, buenos tardes," she said in flawless Spanish. Carlos froze. Most tourists barely managed gracias. But her accent? Perfect. Warm. Respectful. He looked up at her, stunned. "You speak Spanish?" Her smile was gentle. "It's one of 7 languages, but it's my favorite." Irina buried her face in her hands. Carlos swallowed hard, unsure if this beautiful woman was real. And for the first time in years, someone looked at him, not at his wheelchair, not at his struggle, but at him. Their conversation lasted 12 minutes, then 30, then over an hour. They talked about everything: his childhood, her work, his love for the ocean, her love for humanity. He spoke softly, humbly, smiling with every sentence. She listened like every word was sacred. But the moment that sealed her conviction happened when she asked, "What do you dream of, Carlos?" He looked at the sea, eyes shining. "To be useful. To matter. To help someone someday the way no one helped me." Her breath caught in her throat. The world had broken him, yet he dreamed of healing others. That was the moment she knew. This man isn't just surviving. He's extraordinary. Irina warned her nightly. "Luba, he's from a different world. People will talk. They'll judge you. They'll say he wants something from you. Lyubochka shook her head. I know sincerity when I see it. And his eyes, they don't lie. Still, the doubts gnawed at Carlos. Why would a woman like her, educated, beautiful European, want anything to do with him? He tried to pull away, but she always found him. Each day they met under the palm trees on the pier, near the waves. Carlos had never had a woman love him, never had a woman choose him. He felt unworthy. She felt certain. And the tension between their fears and desires made every moment electric. On her last day on the island, they sat by the water as the sun dipped into the sea, orange melting into purple. Carlos whispered, I don't want this week to end. Lyubochka turned to him. It doesn't have to. He looked at her, confused. She inhaled deeply. Carlos, I run an NGO in Europe. We care for people with disabilities. I want to help you, not because I pity you, but because you deserve a chance to live, not just survive. Silence. The kind that stretches your heartbeat thin. He shook his head slowly. No one helps without wanting something back. I just want you alive. Healthy. Happy. And maybe close to me. His breath trembled. You want me? A man who can't even walk. She touched his hand softly. I want a man who stands taller sitting down than most men do on their feet. Tears streamed down his face before he even realized he was crying. 3 months later, Carlos arrived in Europe, passport trembling in his hands, fear and hope twisting in his stomach. Her house was warm. Her world was gentle. Her heart? Open. She arranged medical support. Therapists. New equipment. Opportunities, real ones. But more importantly, she gave him something he had never had. A place where he wasn't the orphan. Not the cripple. Not the poor boy in the wheelchair. He was simply Carlos. A man deserving of love. And Lyubochka loved him fiercely, quietly, respectfully, fully. The wheelchair didn't disappear overnight. The scars didn't vanish either. But slowly, Carlos began to believe what she saw in him. Strength, worth, brilliance, and possibility. The boy from the slums, the orphan who had crawled through life. The paralyzed man who thought love was for others. Found himself being loved by a woman who refused to let society tell her what was acceptable. Some nights, he would whisper into her hair, "Why me?" And she would answer every time, because fate never makes mistakes. On the coast of Europe, far from the beach where they first met, Carlos wheels himself beside Lyubochka at sunset. She reaches for his hand. He squeezes gently. 2 souls, one broken by the world, one brave enough to love what the world overlooked, found each other in the unlikeliest of places. Some stories begin with privilege, some with pain, but their love began with a look and grew with a choice to see, a choice to stay, a choice to love without fear. And in the end, Carlos learned that even the broken can rise when someone believes in the pieces. Thank you for listening. For more strange love stories in unconventional places, do well to subscribe to the channel. It is free.